Please be seated, says the President. The court is now in session. As scheduled, the Chamber will today continue to hear the testimony of the witness Cambodia, who will be questioned by Khieu Sampon's defense team. The floor is now given to Khieu Sampon defense team to question the witness. You may proceed.
Merci.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning to everybody present in this courtroom. Good morning to you, sir. In asking you some questions, I'm going to try and restrict myself to asking you questions about information that you claim to have been in possession of at the time of the facts. I don't think anybody here can reproach you for having wished to study the period of democratic Cambodia and to have wished to defend yourself before the judiciary that has accused you. But the fact remains that you are neither expert nor historian, and that you are therefore not called upon here to comment upon documents, the existence of which you were unaware of at the time of democratic Cambodia, and which cover issues that you did not directly witness yourself at that particular time. So I'll begin by asking you a few general questions, as is customary, before we focus in on some points in your statements, because they would, I believe, fall within the framework that I have set out in these opening remarks. Before the meeting of the 6th January 1979 that we will talk about in a while, did you have any particular contact of any kind with Mr. Khieu Sampon?
Response. On the 6th January, let me set that date aside. I would like to respond on the events before the 6th of January. Before that date, I did not have any involvement with Khieu Sampon. I only saw him from a distance on the 17th April 1978 commemoration.
Lorsque vous avez été entendu,
when you were questioned by investigating judges on the 23rd of August 2007 in document D86 on page 3, French ERN 0014 7929, Khmer 0014 65 51, you said to the judges that under democratic Cambodia you were not allowed to meet Khieu Sampon. Can you confirm this today, please?
Response. During that period, I did not have a right to meet with Brother Hamed or Khieu Samphan.
Who imposed this particular ban?
Response: that is the party's principle. We could only meet and report to the direct superior. Khieu Samphan was not my direct superior.
June 24th of June 2008, E3/107, on page 6, talking to the investigating judges, French ERN 00197983, English 00198222, and Khmer 00197973. You said that let me just repeat the Khmer ARN is 00197973. You said that Sun Sen never talked to you about Khieu Samphan. Can you confirm that, please?
Response: Sun Sen did not say anything about Khieu Samphan because there was nothing related to him to talk about.
Yesterday, in this courtroom, you said that you did not know what happened to the S21 confessions that you sent upwards to your superiors. I'd like to know if you can confirm what you said to the investigating judges on the 19th of November 2008 in D117, French ERN 00238823, English ERN 00242875, Khmer 00239833, and you stated to the investigating judges nothing allows one to suppose that Khieu Samphan himself read the confessions. That's what you said at the time. Are you able to confirm that, please?
I could not see it clearly. Could you please make a slide projection of the phrase that you said I spoke to the co-investigating judges, the chamber? Please try to follow the procedure as practiced by other parties and as informed by the chamber. You need to prepare your work as the Ieng Sari team did yesterday, so that it could speed up the proceeding and not to waste your time. President, Counsel, do you have any hard copy of the document? If you do, please deliver them to the court officer so it can be projected onto the screen. The document from the case file that needs to be projected to the screen can be delivered to the court officer as the chamber grants you the permission to present such a document to the witness. Court officer, once you receive the document, please follow the same procedure as you did yesterday.
J'ai le document, Monsieur le Président.
I have the document, Mr. President. I'm just going to underline it so that the witness can immediately locate the passage himself.
Donc, Monsieur le greffier peut venir, je vais les...
If the greffier could kindly come to assist, then we can pass the document on to the witness.
Court officer, please receive the document and you can deliver it to the witness. Response. Mr. President, I would like the counsel to repeat his question. President, counsel, please repeat your question regarding the document put before the witness.
Yesterday, in this court, you said that you did not know what happened to the S21 confessions which you sent upwards to your superiors. And in the past, you made a statement which could be compared to what you said yesterday. And you said, to sum up, nothing allows me to affirm that Kyosampong himself read the confessions. I'm simply asking you if you can confirm that statement.
Response. I still stand by the fact that I did not know what my superior did with the documents. Secondly, I still maintained my position that Brother Ham did not read the documents before Son Sen. Let me repeat. I did not acknowledge that Brother Ham read the document before Son Sen. It was only Son Sen who read the document before everyone else.
Je voudrais maintenant passer à une autre question.
Moving on to another question. During the investigation and in these recent days, you have claimed that after the arrest of Shuchet, you were told in confidence by Bong that Pol Pot asked him not to convene Von Wet to the meeting, at which there had to be a decision about the arrest of Chouchet, but rather, you said, that Mr. Kyosampon should be invited instead. My first question on this is as follows. As far as you are aware, did Bong attend the Standing Committee meetings?
Response. I actually want the council to present the document on the screen so that the public can see it. Of course, I can respond to your question immediately. So I would request the President to allow the Council to present the document on screen. President, Council, are you relying on any particular document for this question?
Well, at this stage, not particularly, Mr. President. I was simply putting a question to the witness.
President, if this is a general question, then the witness, you may need to respond. Response. The council, in his question, wants to know whether Bong had the right to attend the meeting. Bong was the organizer for the meeting place in order for the members of the standing committee to convene the meeting. In principle, I believed Bong did not have the right to attend the meeting.
Well then, sir, does that mean that Bong was not able to tell you? Whether, for example, Mr. Kyosampon himself attended a particular meeting?
Response. Bong was the one who invited members for the meeting. On that day, Bong did not invite Brother Won, but instead he invited Brother Ham. This is according to Bong, who followed the orders from Brother Paul.
Would it be true to say that the only information that Bong gave you on that day was that there had been a change in the invitations?
Kyosampon à la place de Van Wet.
Kyosampon instead of Von Wet.
Response. Von Wet was a member of the standing committee, but Kyosampon was not. He was a member of the central committee.
Monsieur le témoin, Monsieur le témoin.
Witness. I don't know if my point is getting through here, but what I'm trying to ask you is, the specifics of the information that Pong shared with you on that day. Did Pong tell you anything other than, well, instead of Won Wet, I've been asked to invite Kyo Son Pong?
Response. This last question is a bit different from the question from the previous one. Let me respond to that. Initially, Pong told me that on that day, Won was in his office, but Brother Paul instead asked him to invite Brother Ham. Then Pong explains to me that Von Wet was difficult to work with. At each meeting he was not happy and he was not active. That was Pong's explanation to me.
Et c'est tout ce qu'il...
And if I understand correctly, that's all he said to you.
Response. At that time, that what was explained to me by Pong.
Pong est-il...
Is Pong still alive today?
Response. Chum Samao alias Pong was arrested and put in S21. He already died.
Quelqu'un d'autre a-t-il assisté à votre...
Was anybody else present at your talk that day with Pong?
Response. The conversation with the superior or the superior from above could not be involved any other person, or nobody else would be near the people who made that conversation.
C'est vrai.
True. But if that conversation had taken place while Pong himself was already detained in S21,
Response. When Pong was detained at S21, I did not interrogate him. I did not even go and meet him.
Alors,
how do you explain the fact that in a transcription of an audio recording of your interview with the UNHCR, refugee agency in other words, you say that Pong told you this after he had written his confession? In IS 2019, pages 2 and 3, French ERN 00160 92-2, French ERN 00002507, Khmer 0016 0890.
President, the International Prosecutor, you may proceed.
Good morning, Mr. President. I just asked that the document can be produced to the witness. And I was wondering whether Learned Counsel had the English ERN number as well. That would be helpful.
Oui, oui, je l'ai donné.
Yes, I did say it, actually. 4 zeros, 2507. Mr. President, I've got the document.
Court officer, can you take the document from the counsel and deliver it to the witness?
Et je...
And if I may, Mr. President, I'd like to have this projected on the screens.
President, yes, you may do so.
Excusez-moi, je n'avais pas allumé mon micro.
Sorry, I forgot to turn my microphone on. According to my French translation here, what it says is that after Pong had finished writing his responses, I was chatting informally with him. And Pong told me that Warren Wet, even if he was not busy elsewhere, was never invited to their meetings. So how do you explain the apparent difference between what you're telling us today and what you said in 1999?
Response. The written record of the 4th to the 6th by the UNHCR, as you may recall, I objected to that document. In light of what you asked me, was the essence of what I asked Pong when Pong still had his full authority. Number 2, Pong also scolded me when Comrade Ho was arrested. He said that if I were not to work with my superior, I would have been arrested a long time ago.
Please forgive me for interrupting. I think that you have not correctly understood my question. In fact, I was not questioning you on the 2 points that you just raised. I was questioning you on the apparent change in your testimony. You said in 1999 that you had spoken with Pong after he had signed his confessions. So, given the way S21 operated, this means after he had been tortured. And here right now, you are telling us that you had not spoken to Pong when he was at S21. So the point of my question is to ask you, why is there such a difference between both testimonies? Where is the truth in this?
Response. This is the truth, what I have just said. Pong told me when he was in power. I asked him sometime in April 1978, following the arrest of Chu Chet.
Do you remember when Chu Chet was arrested, the date when Pong was arrested?
I do not remember the arrest date of Pong, but I do remember the date when Pong was arrested. Let me repeat. I do not remember when Pong was arrested, but I do remember the date when Chu Chet was arrested.
Yes, of course, yes. You did tell us when Pong had been arrested, at least the month, and that was April 1978. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm referring to the discussion. Chu Chet, I can mix this up with Chu Chet's arrest. Can you remind me, or can you tell me again when Chu Chet was arrested? Because I'm not sure that you told the chamber.
Response. Chu Chet was arrested in April 1978.
Revenons.
Now let's return to Pong's arrest. You tell us that you don't remember the date when he was arrested. Therefore, could you tell us if he was arrested a long time after Chu Chet or just in the weeks that followed Chu Chet's arrest?
Response. It was after. It was between the arrest of Chu Chet and Sao Pim when they purged the East Zone. They purged the East Zone sometime in June 1978, so it was between when Chu Chet was arrested and Sao Pim was arrested. It was between this.
Okay, so on the basis of your recollections, this occurred between or within 2 months after Chu Chet's arrest. Is that correct?
Response. It may have been around that time. It was about 2 months after the arrest of Chu Chet.
In his confession at S21, did Chu Chet incriminate Pong?
Response. I do not recollect it well,
ដូចជាអត់ច្រើនជាង
I think there was no implication or incrimination against Pang.
Before Chu Chet's arrest, had Pong already been incriminated in other confessions? Because this did occur before Chu Chet's arrest.
The President, the witness does not have to answer the last question put by the defense counsel. Because the defense put the question based on the confession extracted by way of torture. So the defense counsel is advised to examine the question to be put to the witness. Particularly, he should refrain from asking questions concerning the confession extracted by way of torture.
I am not trying to use information that was revealed in confessions done under torture. I'm not trying to have the witness consider this information as true. But however, given the way S21 operated, and given the way the regime also operated, Duke already indicated to us that all that was necessary was to be mentioned in the confession to be observed or arrested, and that was the object of my question. My question is not based on the content or on the truthfulness of the information. I'm absolutely not interested in that. I'm only trying to know whether before Chu Chet's arrest there had been in S21's history confessions in which Pong had been incriminated. That's all I am looking for. And if that is the case, then I will put another question to the witness. But of course, this question has no relation with the truthfulness of the information in the confessions obtained under torture. So I think that I'm perfectly abiding by the rule that consists in not taking as true information that exists in the confessions. So may I please ask the Chamber to reconsider its decision in view of what I just explained, and may the Chamber allow me just to continue putting the questions, to continue with my line of questioning.
the President. The Defense Counsel may put a general question. However, the defense should not demonstrate that he bases the question on the statement or confession made by the prisoner who were smashed at S21, and that should not be the basis for the question to be put to the witness.
I'm going to therefore try to reformulate my question, Mr. President. Witness, according to you, before Chuchet's arrest, was Pong being observed by the regime?
Response. To my recollection, it was when I was working with Son Sen. Brother Son Sen allowed the prisoners to implicate Pong when he was with me.
And this permission to accuse Pong, did it precede Chuchet's arrest?
Response. Yes, it must have been before that because Son Sen parted from me on the 15th. Brother Son Sen parted from me on the 15th of August 1977.
Well, first of all, did Son Sen tell you personally that he wished to have Pong's name included in confessions? Is that what you are telling us?
Response. It was a very long story. There were two different stages, and I would like to mention the last stage of the two. One day, Brother Son Sen asked me, that an individual whom he sent to S21 for confession, why didn't he implicate Pong? I told him that there was another individual who had implicated Pong earlier. But when I reported that to you, you mocked at me, and at that time you could not help laughing at me as well. Back then, Brother Son Sen said, well, I admitted that it was my mistake. So, well, I would like to listen to his confession. So whatever he said, please let me know. I want to know that. That was the last meeting with him.
what Sun Sen told you, your superior, on that day, asking for Pong's name to be kept in confessions. Did this mean, in your opinion, that Pong was being monitored?
Yes, that was the case because he had been monitored for quite some time already. But that was another move, a new move, because they had to listen. They wanted to listen to a confession that implicated Pong.
Thank you for this answer. Yesterday, while you were answering Councillor Carnavas's questions, you described the fear in which you were living during the period of democratic Kampuchea, and I'm asking myself that given the fact that Pong was being monitored and that Son Sen, as you just said, had requested to have his name kept in the confessions, I was asking myself whether you thought it was prudent for you to ask questions to Pong, as you claim to have done so, Pong, who was still free, who was still working then, if you thought it was prudent to ask questions to him on the way the Standing Committee operated.
A response. This was how we worked. We had to maintain certain secrecy in our work, and we also had to do certain things as well. Each secret affair is classified based on the level to which it should be made known.
I understand what you are telling us, but I am not sure that you have understood what I told you. You knew that Pong was being monitored. Isn't that correct? And before Chushet's arrest, correct? And after Chushet's arrest, you then went to ask questions on the Standing Committee to a person whom you knew perfectly well that he was at least being monitored, or that he was on the hot seat. So was it prudent for someone like you, who was so cautious, who was so wary of his security, which you described during the past day?
Response. Each and everyone whom Pol Pot and Nuon Chea did not trust were not self-aware. They did not realize what was going on, so we continue to work as normal.
Right.
Witness, may I please interrupt you? I am interrupting you because I'm not speaking about the others. I'm speaking about you precisely. And you said that you had been informed of the fact that Pong was being monitored. And my question is based on this information that you are telling us now. You are informed, apparently, of the fact that Pong has been incriminated and that Pong is monitored and that Chuchet has been arrested, and you still discuss issues related to the operations of the Standing Committee with Pong? Weren't you therefore facing an enormous risk?
Response. I understand the question put by the Council, but I would like to answer it in stages. So long as the Standing Committee does not declare that Pong was to be arrested, then Tang remains in authority to give instruction or lead S21. S21 had to abide by this designation. If S21 leaks secret information, then S21 would be held responsible. Thirdly, on the question I asked Pong concerning the fact that the Standing Committee did not want me to leak any information whatsoever to Pong.
I didn't hear the end of your sentence. I don't exactly understand the meaning of what you were saying in French.
Response. I would like to summarize it as follows. As for the implication by a prisoner against Pong, it was the responsibility of S21 to ensure that this secret thing would not leak and Pong would not learn that. It was not the leak to the outsider, but a mere leak to Pong himself.
Yes, I do understand. Okay, fine. Please activate the microphone. You were speaking to him while he still held his position, and you knew that he was being monitored, and this meant a lot under the regime of Democratic Cambodia. So weren't you taking the risk that if the day when he would be arrested, that he would incriminate you as being a person who tried to obtain information on the Standing Committee? Weren't you therefore facing a very significant risk? You, not the others, you personally.
Response. That was virtually impossible. How could the interrogator at S21 would let Pang implicate me in that context? In addition, if Pang would implicate me, would the standing committee believe his implication?
But the person who preceded you at S21, Nat, was also arrested and tortured and then executed at S21. And now you're telling us that you felt beyond all of this and that you felt protected in the democratic Kampuchea system because you were the head of S21? Is that what you're telling us today?
Response. Nat implication was not originated from S21. Again, the implication against Nat did not originate from S21. It was the sole decision of Brother Paul. The Council may refer to document dated the 21st of April 1976.
I must interrupt there, witness. I want to pick up on what you've just said to us. You, in E3 stroke 106, page 5, told the investigating judge that Won Wet had incriminated you in his confessions. So, contrary to what you've just told us, you weren't in any way protected in S21, and even in the position that you occupied, you were perfectly liable to be incriminated in other people's confessions that were made in S21 under torture. So I don't think you were protected and sheltered in S21.
Response. That is correct. First, Von Wet implicated me. He did that. Secondly, his response was separate from those he implicated. Thirdly, the interrogator also told me about that. I said, let him do it. And fourth, I actually showed that document to Brother Noon regarding the implication. And if Brother Noon were to arrest me, let him do it.
Donc,
So, your position today is that when you had your conversation with Pong in April 1978, you didn't feel at all worried in asking him the questions that you did ask him. That's what you're telling us, is it?
That is correct. I was not worried about this matter.
je voudrais revenir
I'd like to come back to the transcript of the audio recording of your talks with UNHCR that I mentioned at the outset this morning, and the code is IS 20.19, and in that transcript you say that Pong shared this information with you after he had finished writing his confession. Do you contest the contents of the transcript?
President, the prosecution, you may proceed.
Your Honour, I just asked that counsel put specifically what the witness said in the interview, because I don't think it was categorised accurately. I think the discussion in the interview was more of a general discussion rather than a specific discussion in relation to the arrest of Chow Chet and the circumstances surrounding it. So it's a bit misleading in that regard. But if perhaps the passage could be put complete, and then he can comment.
alors pour simplifier.
Mr. President, let's make things simpler. Let's look at a different document, which I would like to put to the witness. And as far as I'm aware, it is not subject to the kinds of interpretations that the prosecutor has just mentioned. It is the record of questioning of Mr. Kangakiev alias Duk, dated 9th of June 1999, before the military tribunal. It's D288-6.52/425. And in that paper, the gentleman present says that sometimes I had conversations with those who had already been interrogated, such as Tok Pun, Chim Sam Ok, alias Pong. The subjects were primarily for me to find out about the lives of Pol Pot, Yang Sale, Son Sen, Kyo Sampong and Tok Pun when they were in France. As for Chim Sam Ok alias Pang, Chu Chet alias Si and Von Vet, I wanted to know the internal structure of the party, the history of the party, the Revolutionary Communist Party of Cambodia, and secondly, on the question of direct interrogation, I did this in cooperation with other people on the orders of Son Sen. I'd like to give you a copy of that statement, and Mr. President, I'd like to have it put onto the screens as well.
The The President, Court Officer, can you take the document?
Vous ne voulez pas la regarder, monsieur le témoin?
Witness, do you not wish to look at this document?
Response, yes, please, you can proceed with your question.
Il apparaît, monsieur le témoin, que ce que vous avez déclaré...
It would appear, witness, that what you said to the military tribunal in June 1999 runs counter to what you said in this courtroom under oath a few minutes ago. How do you explain this?
Response, that a record of statement was in a summary form. 3 or 4 events were combined together with the use of a single adverb or adjective. Let me clarify that I asked Tôi Phươn that is several months after the confession was made and after he was fed good food and he was in good health. I asked people to arrange a room for me to meet him. That was the time I asked about the lives of Professor Ieng Sari and elder sister Thiret and brother Son Sen.
Mais vous me parlez d'une...
Excuse me to interrupt, witness, but you're talking about somebody else. I'm talking about the person whose name appears in this record and who we've been talking about already this morning, namely Chim Sam-ok, alias Bong. It's perfectly clear from these minutes that you said that after this person had been interrogated, you talked to him. And if you look at the last page of the document that I gave to you,
President, counsel, once you put a question to a witness, you need the witness to provide or to complete his response first before you can move on to your next question, so that we can get the response in full from the witness.
Vous avez raison.
you're quite right, Mr. President. It just seemed to me that the witness was taking a bit of a digression here, Mr. President, and that he wasn't really answering my question, which was about Pong. I'm quite happy to leave him the time to respond to the actual question I asked. Thank you, sir.
Response. Let me continue. With brother Tôi Phươn, I only asked him or met him after several months of the confessions which were completed. Bong spoke to me when he was arrested, and his arrest was ordered by the superior, that is from brother Noon. Separately, regarding Jujet alias C, after several months of interrogations and confessions, I met him. What is the problem, says the President? Do you have an issue with the French translation? President, the AV unit and the court officer, could you please check the technical issue with the French booth and report to the chamber immediately?
Ça a l'air de fonctionner maintenant, Monsieur le Président. Nous avons entendu la traduction française.
Mr. President, we just didn't hear the French translation of the question you put.
បញ្ហាជំទាស់ឲ្យអង្គជំអន្តរជាតិនោះលោកចាប់
Counsel, could you please repeat your question again because the French translation did not come through?
Est-ce que vous voulez que je répète ce que je viens de dire à l'instant?
Would you like me to repeat what I have just said this second ago, or my actual question to the witness? The question to the witness? Very good.
លោកចាប់បន្តនៅការចម្លើយរបស់
President, the witness, could you continue with your response to the question put by the counsel, which was interrupted due to the technical issue? So please continue your response to the question. In particular, the final segment, you do not need to start from the beginning.
សូមឆ្លើយតបទៅនឹងសំណួរបន្តពីមុន
Response. Mr. President, regarding the time that I made the Toj Phön, it was about 1 month after he was tortured. Probably a little bit more than 1 month. First, I asked him about the lives of the revolutionary people in France. Brother Toj Phön talked about Brother Paul, Brother Want, and other sister Thiret. And Toj Phön also confirmed that Son Sen was persuaded to join the revolution by Brother Want and Thiret. Separately, regarding Khieu Sampon, I asked why Khieu Sampon always respected Brother Paul so much. President, do you have any issue, Counsel?
Oui, je vais avoir...
Yes, it's going to be difficult for me to continue questioning the witness, Mr. President, if you don't allow me to contain Mr. Duc when he waxes lyrical like this. I'm asking him about Pong, and off he goes talking about what he would say after torturing somebody else, and frankly, it's not relevant to the subject we're talking about now. And I'm going to find this difficult to abide by the time limits you have imposed upon me if you allow the witness to set off on long digressions on irrelevant issues. So I would ask you to authorize me to require of the witness that he answers my questions directly.
President, the chamber is also hearing the response of the witness, because in your questions it involved several people. You refer to the statement made by the witness at the military court, and that statement was summarized, and now it is his time, his or his turn to respond to your question. And of course, it cannot just be a focus on one person, as it is related to several people. That is the intention of the chamber. If you put a question in regard to that paragraph, let him respond and conclude his response first. It is not that you pose a question and then allow him to respond only to what you need to hear. And if not, then you would not allow him to respond, then it is not appropriate for the chamber to proceed in this fashion. Now, counsel, put your question precisely and in short form for the witness to understand. You try to quote a paragraph involved several people, and it is not just involved in one single person.
I quite understand, Mr. President. Perhaps because we are going through 3 languages here, there may be 1 or 2 impediments to the communication between the defense and the chamber, but I'm sure that this is not going to be a problem. I did read out the passage in toto from the 1999 minutes, and that is a place where the witness gives several examples of people he talked with after they had been tortured in S21. But you will of course understand, sir, that my question was not relating to all of these people whose names are quoted here, but solely to Pong. And the fact that, as far as Pong is concerned, the statement by Mr. Gangekya on that day in 1979 contradicts what he has stated under oath just now before your good selves. Just now he said that he had never spoken to Pong when he was held in S21, but in 1999 he gives several examples of people he talked with while they were imprisoned in S21, and among the list of names we have Pong, and that is the point of my question. That's all. So if the witness's choice is to talk to us about all of the other people except Pong who were quoted in that 1999 record, then so be it. But what I'm interested in my line of questioning, and I'm sure you're going to get to this in the end, Mr. Witness, is Pong. And so, as regards Pong, please, what is your explanation for the contradiction between this 1999 record before a Cambodian judge, while you were in the presence of your lawyer, and what you have just stated under oath before this chamber? How do you explain the difference? Thank you.
Response. If the counsel wants to ask only about Pong, then please remove this document from the screen, and you don't need to provide this document to me, because if you rely on this document, it involves several people, not just only that individual.
Contestez-vous le contenu
Do you contest the content of the record of 1999?
le contenu de ce document, monsieur?
ឥឡូវលោកដកឯកសារនេះពីខ្ញុំសិនហើយលោកសួរឲ្យចំតែករណីបងបានហើយ
Response. Please only ask your question related to Pong if that is what you wish. Otherwise, you have to include several people in if you relied on this document.
ឥឡូវនេះលោកតាំងសំណួរចាស់ជាថ្មីជាក់លាក់
President Council, could you please repeat your question? You can ask general question and remove this document, so you can pose your question in defense of your client. And there is no need to rely on this document, because this document is related to several people and not only Pong. And this witness already made it clear regarding this individual Pong, but there was some technical issues relating to the translation. So let me repeat, if you relied on a paragraph of a document which involves several people, and you put a question for only one person, then there is no need to rely on that segment of the document. You may need to rephrase your question so that it is precise and beneficial. Otherwise, he would do the same.
Mr. President, may I be heard? Because the ruling that you're making, the rest of us are going to be stuck with for the rest of the trial. With humility, let me just say that your ruling is not correct. First, you tell us to provide documents. We provide documents, he rejects them. The witness does not get to control the court. It doesn't matter whether the document contains other names. He's being confronted with something that he said before another institution. Today he said one thing. In another instance, he said something differently. It's classic confrontation. In fact, under oath today, first he said with Pong that he never spoke to him at S21. Later on, under oath again, he said he spoke to him. This is a classic example of how to show when a witness is lying. And to deny now counsel for the defense the opportunity to show that a witness is lying is improper. Yesterday the prosecution was able to interfere all the time. Now the prosecution is sitting quiet. Allow the defense to do their job in classic confrontation, showing one statement under one instance, another statement under oath here. And the gentleman is subject to perjury. So he must answer the question, and he doesn't get to dictate to you, Your Honors, how you are supposed to control the proceedings. As I noted yesterday, he is not at S21. He is not here to tell us how to conduct the proceedings. He is not here to interrogate. He is here to be interrogated.
President, the Chamber would like to give the floor to Judge Lavange to clarify the matter. You may proceed.
Yes. We don't want to interrupt your questioning. We just want to re-establish things. There have been a few hitches as we have gone along, and so let's get down to the basics of what you are asking. If we understood correctly this morning, the witness, with respect to Pong, said that he had never met him or never talked to him in S21. Is that indeed what you said this morning?
I did not meet Pong after he was arrested. But before he was arrested, I had met him.
And during the interrogation, and Counsel Verken can correct me if I'm mistaken, but Counsel Verken referred to a certain number of documents. First of all, your interview by the UNHCR, and also your examination by the investigating judge of the military tribunal. And in both of these statements, there is an apparent contradiction with what you said this morning, because it seems that you spoke about a discussion that took place at S21. So, is this clear to you? Did you see these documents? Were you able to note that it was indeed Pong's name that was mentioned among other names, but it was Pong's name that was mentioned in the interview that was conducted by the investigating judge at the military tribunal? So, and if this is the case, can you explain why there is a contradiction or not between these different statements? Did you understand my question, or would you like me to repeat it?
Response. Your Honor, the defense counsel presented me a document from the military court. I started responding to his question, and I mentioned that this document points to many individuals, namely Chua Chet, Tôi Phuen, and Pong. And I did mention in my answer that these 4 individuals were different. But the military court described them the military court summarized these 4 individuals using only using the same verb, the same adjective and adverb to describe the four individuals. And I seek the permission from the court to make the distinction in terms of the description of four individuals as follows. And my last suggestion to the defense counsel was that if he wants to specifically refer to only Pang, then I would suggest that this document be removed from me so that I could respond to that question immediately. But so long as the defense counsel insists that I refer to this document, I still maintain my positions that I would like to describe the four individuals contained in this document in a separate manner. The President, well, the time is now appropriate for a morning adjournment. The chamber will adjourn for 20 minutes. Security guards are instructed to bring the witness to the waiting room and bring him back here by 5 to 11. The defense for Ieng Sary. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Your Honors. Due to health concern, particularly his lumbago, Mr. Ieng Sary would like to request the chamber to excuse himself from participating directly in this courtroom, but instead follow the proceeding from the holding cell downstairs. For this reason, we would like to request the chamber to grant this request. The President, please be seated, counsel. Having heard the request by Mr. Ieng Sary through his defense counsel to waive his right not to be present directly in this courtroom, but instead follow the proceedings from the holding cell downstairs through video linked in the holding cell for the whole day today due to his health concern, the chamber grants this request. So Mr. Ieng Sary will be brought to the holding cell downstairs where the video link is connected for him to follow the proceeding for the whole day. The chamber requires the defense counsel to submit the chamber a written waiver of the accused with his thumbprint and signature, and the AV technicians are instructed to connect the video linked to the accused Ieng Sary so that he can follow the proceedings from the holding cell downstairs. And security guards are instructed to bring Mr. Ieng Sary to the holding cell downstairs where the video linked equipment is ready for him to follow the proceedings. From there, the court is adjourned.